Hola. Another thing that I want to discuss when it comes to rock and roll, that I've probably maybe gone over before, I don't know, but I've wanted to kind of just say for years, is, and again, I mean, you could consider it this big difference from the new music, whatever you want, but I think it was something that was unique to rock. And again, remember, I have to make this video kind of short because otherwise I can't upload them. But something that was really unique to rock music was the fact that it was a lot about acting. So, whereas the new music these days is all this big emphasis is always on you got to be real. I mean, literally, that's what it's called in the hip hop culture. They say, is this guy real? Is he really from the inner city? Is he really from this gang life? Really from this hard place? And you kind of they do the same thing too in country music. You know what I'm saying? Is he really a cowboy, or is he really from Tennessee, or so on and so forth? Rock and roll, there was no sense of you had to be real or you had to be from somewhere. As I said that in the past another video. You know what I'm trying to say? There was no sense that you had to be from a city or you had to be from Kentucky or you had to be from London or some space in Paris or Berlin or something. It was actually it was the best and most successful rock acts actually seemed to be the ones that were doing character acting, which I've always found very interesting. And I think that the more the music world embraces character acting, the better it is. I think the problem that poor people had with it was that they don't maybe um, it's difficult maybe for someone who's just normal to act. You notice that that's a big aspect of modern day culture. Again, I stress that as people have this one thing this one play that they put on. You know what I'm saying? The typical person, and they never change the play. So they're always the same. They're always if they start playing Macho Man when they're 15, they play Macho Man for fucking 80 years. Whereas when you look at the culture of actors, Johnny Depp plays a pirate, and then he plays a father. He plays a truck driver. He plays a mafia man. He plays this and that and the other thing. He plays a Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. So he plays all these really different roles. And what's crazy is at first you look at rock and you don't think they're doing this in a sense, but they kind of always were. They always switch up their roles. I mean, there's some roles. Jagger, it was almost as though you never knew who he was going to come out as next. So, for a modern person looks at it and they go, oh, how fake was this guy? You know what I'm saying? He wasn't who he really was. Why would you want him to be, though? Is the thing I never understand. I like when my artists act. I think that's a higher form of art. And not just to necessarily act like thugs or to act like mafia men or to act like I don't know what they act as now, but you get what I'm saying. So I think that the new music movements, if they're going to keep getting cooler and cooler, to me it's going to encompass more and more acting. Like when I look at Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, every time I listen to Led Zeppelin, it's almost as though I know that these characters are not from the Lord of the Rings universe. See, Lord of the Rings is very important for me in my mind, and for music too, I feel, for rock music. And every time I look at Robert Plant and the whole Zeppelin experience, it almost feels like it's some sort of electrified band coming out of this parallel, alternate Lord of the Rings place. Because so many of the songs that they perform just feel like Lord of the Rings. And why do they feel like Lord of the Rings? Well, because, when Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings, he used a lot of English imagery, and the Shire was very English, and the acoustic guitars and mandolins and all this. So you listen to a song like "Run Your Stomp," I think is the name of it, or you listen to "Immigrant Song." That's one of the best examples ever. And he's we come from the land of the ice and snow, and midnight sun, hot spring glue. He's playing a character. He's playing. So I'm right back there in Viking lore. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to represent some inner city life. He's not trying to represent Kentucky or anything like that. He's representing this very deep past that he himself didn't belong to. He's fantasizing. And I think that's incredible. And I think other acts like Alice Cooper and everything are very incredible too. And Marilyn Manson I have a lot of respect for, because I just think that the actor musician is the best one there ever was. I just wish that we would be able to allow our musicians to switch roles more than we do. So let me give you an example of a musician that doesn't exist but that I can imagine. And that I even certainly would like to be if only I had the opportunity. So I can imagine a musician who comes out with the first album and it's like he's playing a pirate. It's sort of like a movie. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a movie, though, it's all 15 songs, and it's all about piracy and sailing the high seas, and how he's a captain, and he tells the story of this fake story, but it's just true fucking songs. And then the next album. So the next album you go, yeah, well, this is a pirate band, and they're always going to be pirates. But then the next album that comes out, he's in the fucking Wild West. Just what I don't understand is why is it so controversial? Is because an actor actually does this over and over and over again, and no one complains. But a musician, for some reason, isn't supposed to do this. But they do it in bits and pieces. They do it in bits and pieces. Like when you look at Bob Dylan in his career and you really analyze some of the songs, there's points where he's being a Wild West character. Like if you look at my favorite Wild West song by Dylan is Santa Fe. Dear, 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 dear Santa Fe. Where's that? New Mexico. Santa Fe, New Mexico, I believe. Or it's not Arizona, is it? It's New Mexico. And then he has these other times where he's doing Civil War sort of reenacting. He did this song for Gods and Generals, which is like a controversial Civil War film, and then he's in the Civil War character. And then you look at him in Visions of Johanna, and he's doing more like this, like Greenwich Village, New York Poet Act, which was more, you could argue, that was really him. That was the real Bob Dylan. But the truth is, and the beauty is, the bellezza is that, that means beauty in Spanish, is that Bob Dylan, the real guy, who the fuck is he? Who cares? You get what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. I don't even care if he's from, I care if he's from Minnesota as a biographical detail, but like I don't, it's not like this thing that I'm endlessly obsessing over, that he's a representative of Minnesota, or the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? It's not this major thing for me in terms of his art. He triumphs over it. And he even says this in a very fascinating 60 Minutes interview he did years ago. He says, I wish I can't do the Dylan act. I don't know if I'd be able to act as Dylan in the film. But he says that sometimes a man's just born in the wrong place, to the wrong people, wrong country, wrong everything. So he's all about the act. Dylan, the name is an act. Robert Zimmerman was the original name, and he changed it. And again, we see shades and echoes of this with the rappers, but we just don't see the supreme act. Never really gets put on. Will Smith actually kind of did it. He did pretend he was in the Wild West. A buddy of mine, I kind of was saying the same thing to him a few years ago, and he said, "Wait a minute, Will Smith released those rap songs for that Wild Western movie." And then I listened to it and was like, yeah, this is the sort of track I want to see. I want to see music go down. I want to see music embrace fantasy and character acting and all. I just want to see it merge. So, again, I got to cut the video off, otherwise I can never upload it, and it kills the battery. So, ciao, adios. It's always good to see you.